guys? Tambo here with your weekly core report. Water is wet and RPS members are shipping as usual. Our NBA content has been on fire since the beginning of the season. I kicked off the week by shipping a WFBBC seat on FanDuel using a low-owned Isaiah Livers recommended on the Premium Final Countdown show.
I hope he comes off the bench because I know for a fact they love this kid. They're going to give him run no matter what. They're probably going to push him, and he's $3,100.
Our premium content comes through big time, whether it's our up to lock shows, heat maps, core plays, or playbook. Join us today so you can start shipping too. I wasn't the only one shipping a seat last week. Our guy Locks secured a DraftKings NBA Live Final seat as well. AP's core plays from Sunday helped a bunch of members win too. Junior hit for $3,000, while Nick's story shipped for over $15K. Steve Boynton used our core plays and playbook to make a late swap that won him $3,000 in NBA. And Punisher used the NBA heat map to ship $100,000 on DraftKings. As always, subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the like button on this video as well. Keep the good mojo going. Our NFL dominance continued into week 8 as well with some big wins. D-Hops shipped for $4K on FanDuel. EJOCam won $5K. And Dirty Deeds 30 hit for $7,500. Some of our best screenshots aren't necessarily the huge scores. Bankroll building is a big part of becoming successful, and we love to see the good ROI hits too. Cusp Love illustrated this perfectly, turning $2 into $800, while Wes turned $18 into $2,500 on DraftKings, and Jalapeno turned $198 into a monster $77K. His Great Pizza brought the great mojo in Cincinnati. Congrats again to all our members. If you want to be featured in the core report, drop your winning lineup in the Members Never Win channel in our premium Discord. If you're not a member, join now. You won't find a better value with all sports included for one low price. Remember, if you're not winning with us, you're watching us win. Until next time, let's keep running pure.
What is going on, everybody? Happy Monday. Hope everybody's having a great day so far. What an NBA slate we have today. Every single team is playing today, 15 games. There are no games tomorrow for the election day, so they decided to have an NBA game every 15 minutes today. No two games, starts at the same time. Starts at what, 7 p.m. Eastern today. 15 games every 15 minutes. Can't leave your computer tonight. Also got some NFL Showdown going on. If you did not watch the show with C-Dome, JT, Big T, make sure you check that out as well. Guys, we don't have too much time to waste. Hoop, I'll throw it to you first. I mean, how was your weekend? Talk about that a little bit, but what are your thoughts on this slate? What's your approach to it? I mean, the Lakers are the big thing. We got LeBron out. I think the Lakers are the team that's clearly are going to be the highest owned. They do play later in the day, so that's interesting. You should have a lot of spots. We are waiting on plenty of news as always. What's your thoughts on this slate? We have never had a slate like this, so break it down.
Yeah, not thrilled, to be honest. I mean, just way too many games for me. I mean, I'm a type of player. I love like the 6, 7, 8 game slates. I think that's just perfect for me. 15 teams going, that takes me out of building 150 teams. There's just no way I can do it. I'm not good enough in NBA at 150 to handle all the news. If every game's going every 15 minutes. So it'll be a scaled back sort of night for me. I'm just the 15 game slate's not for me. NFL yesterday went well. I was real high on Mixon, talked about it on the Morning Wood. I know Big T hated Mixon and said he was like the worst play of the slate. I stuck with it, and it worked out well. Played him on my main team. Had a team that was up there in the big millie, the 4K. I only played one main team yesterday. It had Mixon, it had ETN. I had a wide receiver that kind of went off early. I'm drawing a blank on it. No, I didn't have that. Palmer, who did well. Palmer. And then I was sitting on Gino. Metcalf and DeAndre Hopkins, and those guys like got their touchdowns in the first half. I'm like, damn, right, this team could make a little bit of a run here. And then like I don't think Metcalf and Hopkins exceeded more than like 5 points in the second half, which was wild because that game did score a little bit. So that was an unfortunate run out, but it was a good fun day in the NFL. We got the NBA and no NBA tomorrow. I don't know what they're doing with the schedule, but it makes it for very hectic NBA slate, that is for sure.
Yeah, no NBA tomorrow. Our boy Nadesify in chat said we have hockey tomorrow. I saw someone tweet big prize pools there. College basketball. Someone was asking about that. The real joy. When are you guys going to start going over college basketball slates? Stevie Boyton, our college basketball guy, he's in the Discord. I checked in there a little bit. He's talking about Chris this morning. Playbook's already up. So every sport that DraftKings offer, we have over here, one price. How to run pure sports, but make sure you check that out. We're not going to have shows until it gets to the March Madness time. AP, your Chiefs yesterday, Sunday Night Football. That was a good game to watch. How was your NFL Sunday? And then, man, talk about this NBA slate, your approach to it, because it's a crazy one.
Yeah, I mean, the Chiefs Titans, they always play KC so close. They're defensively sound. They always take away the big play, and you just got to remember that when KC plays them, like Mahomes is always going to have that rushing upside with just how they play defense against them. So, man, it was a good win. It just like was one of those games where it's like, yeah, you knew like, or at least I knew like Casey was going to win just because like, you know, the backup quarterback for Titans and everything. And just was like, come on, let's get this game over with. And yeah, they finally got it done. I mean, it was a good win for them, but it didn't look too good. But that's the NFL. I mean, man, that's why like these. I mean, that they're not like in the same exact division, but there's a little bit of a rivalry there because like the Titans absolutely smoked KC last year. We smoked them in the playoffs a couple years ago. But that's why I was on the Jets over the Bills this week. The division rivalries right now when you have teams, especially up and coming teams like the Jets with a good defense. That's why, man, those games, you got to just like if you're getting a lot of points at home or something like that in those games, I always like to take a stand there. But it was a fun Sunday for me. It was I think I broke even, which I was completely fine with. And yeah, this 15-game slate, we only get I think a couple of these a year. I think the other time is on Martin Luther King Day, and then the other time is the last day of the season where all 30 teams play. So my approach to this is simplify it, cross a lot of spots off, play the best plays, don't overthink it because a lot of people do. My other thing is it's a perfect day to build 2 to 3 lineups. Build one where it's like, yeah, you're not overthinking it. You're, plug it in like today. You could jam in value and a couple studs, Luka, Giannis, whatever. You could make a build like that easily. And then on, maybe your third build, what you do is get really different. So you got a build that's kind of in line with cash, lock in the best plays, don't overthink it. And then your third build gets super different. I love doing that with a slate like this. I think it's a good approach in tournaments.
Yep, I like it. Good breakdown there. Being there in chat, he said heat map page 1 of 175. Hey, we were talking a little bit about that before the show because you separate it by lock times. Yeah, it's a crazy one for content. Playbooks going up, heat map as well, cast chart, core plays, all of that. As always, college basketball starts, so check out Stevie Boyton stuff. Hockey's going on, NFL Showdown, big night in sports. And tomorrow's an off day, so head to Run Pure Sports, check it out. As always, do us a favor, hit that like button for us, please. Hit that big red subscribe button. But we got 15 games, a lot to talk about. So we're going to dive right into the first game of the night. The Washington Wizards, the Charlotte Hornets, 214 total. Charlotte is favored by 2.5. We do have injury news in this game. Cody Martin doubtful. LaMelo still out. Gordon Hayward's out. Dennis Smith is questionable. Then you go to the Washington side. Bradley Beal was ruled out earlier. DeLon Wright also out. That's both teams have some injury news. Hoop, I'll start with you. Talk about Porzingis, Monte Morris. Does he get a bump with no Beal? On the Charlotte side, Rubio's guy, Kelly Oubre, Terry Rozier. What are your thoughts in this game?
Yeah, so I mean, with Beal out, obviously a couple of guys come into play here on the Wizards. I mean, the one thing is on a 15-game slate, I mean, any fringe type play you can cross right out because there's going to be better value as we go on. So I'm viewing these secondary pieces for the Wizards as more fringe type plays like Monte Morris and guys like that. Kuzma and Porzingis, though, I do think are in play for sure. I mean, it's a massive boost. I mean, Beal's a very high usage guy. The price tags, I'd say pretty fair on Kuzma and Porzingis. 7-7 for Porzingis, 7K for Kuzma. Probably like Kuzma a little bit more. You know what you're getting with Porzingis. I mean, just a ton of volatility. It's always been, in NBA DFS. So Kuzma, Porzingis, I'm cool with on the Wizards side. I'm not going to play any of the other dudes. And then on the Hornets side, my favorite play would be Terry Rozier coming back from the injury, 36 minutes right out of the gate and shot the ball 24 times, like 24 times right out of the gate against Brooklyn. You absolutely love that. The usage was massive, looks like over 30 usage rate, 40 fantasy points. Definitely like some scary Terry here. Oubre at 6'3". Yeah, I mean, I don't love him. I mean, I'd keep him in my player pool just because of the price tag, 6'3", very fair price tag on him. And then the other guy maybe to consider, actually, no, I'm not going to play Dennis Smith. I'll cancel that. So really, it's just going to be like Rozier for me. And then on the other side, Kuzma and Porzingis.
Yeah, Dennis Smith is out. I think Rozier gets even more of a bump. Will handle the ball a little bit more. As far as Porzingis, I mean, you couldn't ask for a better matchup against Charlotte, who struggles with the big men. So it's the first game of the night. Again, every single game starts at a different time, so you're locking yourself out of some spots. We do have news that we're going to wait for that's going to come out throughout the night. So, AP, are you going to go heavy on this game, fade it, certain plays? What's your approach on this one?
Yeah, I mean, on paper, it's like, we've been playing bigs against the Hornets for like a long time. Then we look at it, and the big is Porzingis, like the most tilting dude ever. I mean, I can't tell you how many times in smash spots I'm like, oh yeah, let's play Porzingis, and where his price is attractive, another key dude is out, and then he goes on to bust. So that's all I'm thinking about right now is tilting Porzingis if I decide to play him. The more I think about this game, I mean, this Wizards team, they're actually playing at a slow pace. Monty Morris does like to slow things down. Same with Beal this year. They've just been playing slow. They've actually been pretty defensive minded. I think the total here is indicative of that, 214. I mean, if this was last year and LaMelo Ball was in, this total would be like 228, 230 against the Wizards and Hornets. 214 right now. I mean, it's just crazy. So it's 15-game slate. Like, yeah, can you play Porzingis? You can. Can you play Kyle Kuzma? You definitely can. Denny. I mean, you can play these guys. They're definitely in play. But can you fade them? I definitely think you can fade them too. So I'm really torn. So for me, it's kind of like an ownership thing. If I think a lot of people are going to lock in some plays from this game, like Porzingis, Kuzma, and Terry Rozier, who they're all good plays, like on paper, I think I'd be fine fading the spot. And because we're going to have so many other opportunities that are going to come about later on in the slate. So I'm torn. Definitely good plays here, but I don't mind fading it as well.
Yeah, I expect Porzingis, Kuzma, Rozier to get some ownership. I don't think any of them are going to be crazy high owned. I think outside of the Lakers situation, ownership should be pretty spread out on this slate is how I'm seeing it. So that's the first game of the night. Let's get to the next game of the night. Houston Rockets, Orlando Magic. Another game with some injury news. First, we got 224 total. Orlando is favored by 5. Kevin Porter Jr. is questionable in this game. If he's out, Jalen Green gets a huge bump. We should get this news before lock. Who else is out? Tate's out. Bruno Fernando's still out. On the Orlando side, Cole Anthony is still out as well. I think you need to know the news. Like I said, KPJ's out. Sign me up for Jalen Green. Sengun, I think, gets a little bump. Gordon, I think everyone gets a bump. As far as the Magic side, Paulo, Suggs, AP, what do you see in this one?
Yeah, so, I mean, man, attacking this Rockets team with opposing guards has been a print fest. They've actually been tougher on opposing bigs, and part of the reason is just because Jalen Green, Kevin Porter, like to attack the rim. How are you going to be able to do that against this big Orlando team? Man, they just got so much size out there with Bull, Wagner, Paulo and Wendell Carter Jr. So I think it's going to be a tough spot for the Rockets. I definitely think the Magic get a win here. I think this game plays under the total too. Like I don't think like the Magic want to get into a track meet with this Rockets team. So an interesting spot for the Magic here. Jalen Suggs obviously very much in play. Bull, you got to like the rotation that he's been seeing, but he's priced up. He's 6'6". So, like, I don't think he's a lock or anything like that. And then Paolo, too, I mean, coming off a monster game, against the Kings, I mean, he put up a 62 piece. But this Magic team, they're still trying to figure out a lot. Obviously, the offense is going to run through Paolo, but we've seen Suggs take over. And when that happened, Paolo, did not have a big game. We've seen Franz Wagner, also run point there too, take some usage away from some of those guys. So for me, 15-game slate, I don't feel the need to play anyone from this game on either side. But in tournaments, I do think Paolo is fine. I would just probably run it back with someone like Jalen Green or someone on the Rockets side, because for him to go off, you got to have a back and forth competitive game environment.
Yep. Hoop, if then statements, if Kevin Porter's out, is Eric Gordon, Jalen Green, I'm not going to use the word lock, but very strong plays. If he's in, what's your thoughts on this Houston team? And talk about Orlando.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to take Porter Jr. to be out before I consider anyone on this team. I mean, it's very simple. If he's in, not playing anyone. If he's out, Jalen Green, Sengun, and then, Eric Gordon all in the conversation for sure. But we need Porter Jr. out. It's game 7:15 Eastern start time. So we'll probably have it. Well, yeah, we'll have it before lock. So got to kind of wait and see. And then on the Magic side, the only guy I'm going to play is Paolo. I mean, he's been phenomenal coming off the big 62 fantasy point game. The guy's a beast, and the price is up there at 8.7, but I definitely want some exposure to him. But yeah, that's about it here for me in this game.
Yep, I like it. Before we get to the next game, we got a lot of games, but I got to say some hi to some people in chat. The Real Joy, we got Nadesify, Gator Nation, Phila, Jordan Neens, Sleepy Joe, B Nair, Junior, SC, Spidey Bombs. We got Locks in here, Camilo, Gary, Ralph. Appreciate all of you hanging out. Jeffrey, Blake. Love all you guys hanging out with us. As always, do us a favor. Hit that like button for us, please. Hit that big red subscribe button. Hope you guys and gals are all having a great night so far. Let's get to the next game of the slate, though. A lot of games to rattle through. We got the OKC Thunder, the Detroit Pistons, 223.5 total. Oklahoma City is favored by 1.5. Not too much injury news in this one. Poku's still out for OKC. Hoop, it's your Detroit team. I mean, the two that stand out, Cade Cunningham, 7-7, SGA, 9-4. I think both of them are very fine plays. Talk about them and anything else you like in this one.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it for me. I mean, those two guys, I do really like Cade at 7-7. I think the price tag is very fair on him. A little bit of an up and down, I'd say. I mean, but we saw that upside in a nice little stretch, 48, 59, 51, 48 fantasy points. What's it going to take to win on this slate, 15-game slate? I mean, you probably need anyone over 7K to get in the 50s. You need massive performances from everyone. Cade can do it. And, he's a little bit cheaper than those other, studs and big name guys. So I love Cade at 7-7. And then SGA on the other side at 9-4, I think is in play too. But again, I talked about in that first game, like anyone I consider to be like a fringe type play, they're out. And I'm just not seeing anyone else here. So it's going to be Cade and SGA, and I'll be passing on the rest of this one.
Gary wants me to mention Beef Stew AP. I mean, he falls kind of like what Hoop just said, like those guys that are the fringe plays. Like, I think he's fine, but on a 15-game slate, you can't have snowflakes in your lineup. I don't know if it's the slate for him. I mean, I think it's fine. Talk about this.
Yeah,
game.
we're not playing Beef Stew here. Like we don't trust Dwayne Casey.
Beef Stew is Isaiah Stewart for anyone out there that does not know.
Right. Yeah. On a 15-game slate, we have so many other options. I am not going to let Dwayne Casey and his rotations be what tilts me. So I'm going to be you can always play Cade though. I like him better if Ivy's out. Obviously just taking on more of the offensive usage there, but no, there's one play in this game for me, and that's SGA. I think it's, you don't have, like, it's 15-game slate. You don't have to play anyone, but man, SGA has been balling. The dude is absolutely balling right now. But this OKC Thunder, man, they do weird stuff with their rotations, like really weird stuff. So I don't think he's a lock by any means, but I'm giving him a fair projection tonight. I'll probably have him in like one of my 3 builds.
Yeah, I mean, I will never argue SGA. He's taken his game to another level for sure. It's been fun to watch. Let's get to the next.
Tyler, question for why isn't, and I look at rotations more than anyone. I just can't figure it out. Like Giddey's I don't know if they have him on a minutes restriction or what, but he barely ever sees more than 30 minutes. I mean, this dude's young. He should be playing 37, 38 minutes a game. That just tells me that they're not playing serious right now and they're already tanking.
Yeah, he was out a couple games before. Maybe that's why. But you remember last year when he went on the minutes restriction out of nowhere for no reason as well? I don't really know what's going on in OKC either. I mean, that's why I'll just play SGA or move on. That's kind of how I see that team. I think it's pretty easy, but do not know the answer to that one. Let's get to the next game. New Orleans Pelicans, Indiana Pacers, big total, 233. The Pelicans are favored by 5. Not too much injury news in this one. Duarte still out. Daniel Tice, Nesmith is doubtful. Benedict has been a stud this year for Indiana. He's 5.9K. Miles Turner, 5.7. Tyrese at 8.5. As far as the Pelican side, Zion 8.6, Ingram 8K. What you seen in this one, AP?
Yeah, I mean, the pace here should be good. I kind of like the overs, but at the same time, this Pelicans team is healthy, and they're a team that I think a lot of us are high on. And the one thing about them too is that they should be very good defensively with Herb Jones in there, Zion, and then Valanciunas obviously with that brings just a ton of size. Man, matchup wise, gosh, this Pacers team is not a good matchup here for the Pelicans. So I think the Pelicans could come in and absolutely clobber them. But Mathurin, man, this dude's been balling. He's been super good. Your boy Tyrese Haliburton has been really good too. I think if you're playing a piece from the Pelicans side, we talk about all the time, you don't have to run it back in NBA DFS. You definitely don't. However, I do think tonight's a little bit different. 15-game slate, so many different options. If you're playing a piece in this game, from the Pelican side, like Zion, I don't know. You probably think this game stays somewhat close. I would consider playing a guy as a run back. Maybe it's Mathurin, maybe it's Tyrese Haliburton, one of those two guys, just for some in-game correlation there. But outside of that, I don't see any must plays from this game. I mean, the only must plays are coming at 8:45 Eastern and then at 10:15 Eastern tonight, in my opinion.
Yeah, the Lakers situation is the only spot where, I won't call anyone a must play in a 15-game slate, but if you're saying must for cash and stuff like that, the Lakers situation, which we'll get to, is the only thing I see. Zion got up to 37 minutes last game. If you could tell me and promise me Zion gets 37 minutes today, I am jamming him in. That is for sure. Not sure, obviously, if he will, but what's your thoughts on this one? And if you do play a Zion or Ingram, do you feel the need to run it back like AP was talking about?
Yeah, I think it's probably not a bad idea, especially the nature of this game. You're looking at a game very high total, sitting at 233. I mean, what is it, the highest on the slate? I mean, yeah,
I think it is.
There's a couple that are right in that range. So there's
31, 4 or 5
in that range. But yeah, it's up there. I mean, the problem with the Pelicans is obvious. They're at full strength and they're at full price. And on a 15-game slate, you want some injuries or price discounts, and you just don't get it with the Pelicans. I think the only route I'd go here is like Zion. You're just going to see a lot of 40 fantasy point performances from these guys when this team's at full strength. When you consider their current price tags, 40 is not enough. And then you throw in the fact that you got a 15-game slate, it's definitely not enough. So going to be mostly fading the Pelican side. On the Pacers, Miles Turner has a good price tag at 5.7. Got big upside. I mean, he has real big upside. 5.7, very fair price tag. Center's always loaded. That's the argument against him. But in on Turner and then Benedict, 5.9K. I think he's pretty interesting. I mean, the fact that, it's a 15-game slate, but we're still not locked in with elite value. I mean, we got the Lakers situation for sure that is very clear. There's not a ton of just standout, super cheap guys. So the 5K range becomes pretty valuable, in my opinion. Now, a lot could change, obviously, because it is a 15-game slate. We probably get some news. But as it stands, these 5K guys are pretty valuable. Turner, Benedict. I'm interested in them. Nothing else, though, in this game.
So are you thinking, because I saw someone brought it up earlier in chat, more of a balanced build, more than stars and scrubs today, or too early to tell?
You might be forced into it just looking at the price tags. I mean, we just don't have what I consider to be solid value. I mean, you have one 3K guy that I think everyone's going to flock to on the Lakers that we'll talk about. Maybe one or two 4K pieces that kind of look like good plays, and then it's kind of it. So, you might be forced into a little bit more of a balanced build tonight.
AP, what are your thoughts on that?
So yeah, kind of back to what I was saying at the start. Like we're going to talk about some of these three. I think there's multiple 3K guys that are going to be viable, and so my thing is like my first build, which is kind of the don't overthink it, jam in these 3K guys, play Luka, play Giannis. I mean, it's a really viable route, and then you can fit Russ in there too. I mean, it gives you a really nice floor, nice ceiling, and then my other build is kind of the one that I'm not as confident in, which is what I think a lot of people are going to do tonight, which is the balance type of build. So the thing about balance versus like going that jam it on a slate like this, in my opinion, curious to see what you guys think too, is like, man, if one of those mid-tier guys, gets you a snowflake, gets you something like 22 or 19 or 22, which like Mathurin could do, like definitely could do, absolutely sinks your lineup. So I do think it's an interesting night if we do uncover some value to just jam in 2 studs, because I don't think a lot of people are going to do that with all the names that we have to choose from tonight.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I don't think people are going to be jamming in 2 studs. It's obviously really early, though. We're still waiting on a lot of news. Every game starting after each other. You might get some before lock, open up value, and the whole slate changes. That's why you got to be in Discord. Got to be watching the Up to Lock show today. JSU, Holden, Big T. Actually, it's Monday, so I don't know if it's Holden, but Up to Lock show, we got you covered as always. Head of Run Pier Sports, check it out. Rajan said no love for Halliburton. We talked about Halliburton. You can always play Tyrese. I think that price tag is good. And then Tyler from the bet side said Ingram in an unguardable matchup. Who's guarding him? Halliburton, Hield, Benny. Yeah, it's one of those 3. Pelicans play big. They don't. I mean, all of them are at a mismatch for sure. So if you want to go that route, Tyler, I think it makes some sense to me. Before we get to the next game, though, I want to shout out a couple winners for the Members Never Win segment. We got Nick Story, who shipped over $15,000. Punisher used the NBA heat map to ship over $100,000. Dirty Deed, $30,000, $7,500. Nadesify, our guy, won $67,000 in NFL. Then Tambo won $61,000 in NFL as well. Congrats to you guys. Again, if you want to be in this segment, we have a Members Never Win segment in Discord. Drop your screenshots in there, and then you have a chance. Hit the like button for us, please. Hit that big red subscribe button. We do appreciate it. Breaking down this massive 15-game slate. Let's get to the next one, though. 8 p.m. Eastern, Phoenix Suns, Philadelphia 76ers, 214.5 total. Phoenix is favored by 2.5. Cam Johnson's still out for Phoenix. And Cam Payne's questionable. Not the biggest news on that side. But on the Philly side, we are waiting on Joel Embiid. He did go through shoot around. I'm going to assume he plays, but he is still questionable. Harden is still out as well. AP, D'Anthony Melton without Harden. He's been playing good ball. Prices have come up on this team, though. It's not a game I'm loving at first glance. What do you got in this one?
Yeah, I mean, so it all comes down to Embiid. And if he made shoot around, then yeah, it seems likely that he plays. If he does play, I don't feel the need. Like, I don't need to play anyone here. Just Embiid would be the guy, but he hasn't looked like right all season long. And they even talked about how in the offseason he had plantar fasciitis, wasn't up to like game shape. Well, now add in the fact that like we haven't seen him in 3 games. Actually, we've seen him once over the last 5 games. So, and he's only played like 30 sets. So I don't know. Embiid being it, like if Embiid was out, I think Maxey would be interesting at 7-8 because that's a big price tag for him. But I mean, his usage was insane. So with Embiid in, takes away from all of that. It makes everyone here much worse off. And I'm fine fading the Philly side. And then on the Suns, the one thing that's interesting is I think is Devin Booker, because this game, if Embiid plays, should be really competitive. We haven't Booker, this dude has so much upside, but the Suns have been kind of on the weird, Portland. I mean, that game, he did play 38 minutes, but man, his shot was off. And then, he came back and only needed to play 29 minutes. He's going to be he's going to be under 1% owned. I think he's a guy that has some nice tournament upside, but again, not like a must play. There's so many other good plays. I'm just saying in multi-entry formats, if you are MME tonight, I would have a guy like Devin Booker in my player pool just because he could absolutely break a slate in a game, which should be pretty close. But outside of that, I don't know. Another game, I'm just fine by crossing off.
Yeah, I don't love this one too much. Let's say if Embiid's out, I mean, if he's in, talk about what you're going to do. If he's out, like Maxi's 7'8" now, Tobias is 6'6" now, Melton 5'3". It's not what the prices we had. I mean, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, if he's in, two guys, I still would keep my player pool probably more of 150 lineup guys. I'm not doing 150 tonight, just to be clear, but I would have Melton in there and Tobias Harris. I don't mind Tobias Harris at 6'6". Like he's fine. I mean, when Harden's out, I'll have interest in Tobias when he's reasonably priced. I think 6'6" is a reasonable price for him. So him, Melton, I can't pay the 7'8" for Maxey. I think Embiid plays. Like he went through shoot around. I think he's going to end up playing tonight. So it muddies up the situation. But I would have some Harris and Melton either way. Now, if Embiid's out, obviously we're going to, give all these guys a substantial boost. I just think he plays. On the Sun side, just nothing here for me on a 15-game slate. So Melton, Harris are in play for me regardless of Embiid status. They'd obviously get huge bumps if Embiid sits.
Yep, I agree. We do not have much interest in that game. Let's see if we have more interest in the next one. The Milwaukee Bucks taking on the Atlanta Hawks, 226 total. Milwaukee is favored by 4. Not much injury news on the Bucks side, but Trae Young is questionable in this game. Obviously, very big news. 1 hour and 15 minutes after lock. If he's out, DeJounte, obviously, not breaking any news there. I'll go back to you in this one, Hoop, though. Talk about Trae Young's situation, what it does in or out, and any interest on the Bucks side.
Yeah, I mean, the Hawks situation is dependent on Trae Young. If he plays, I'm not playing any Hawks guys. If he sits, DeJounte Murray, and then, I think even like Hunter, Collins, Capella come a little bit interesting, but Murray obviously is the main guy. But again, if he's in, not playing any Hawks. On the Bucks side, it's going to be Giannis or nobody. I mean, I can't pay $9K for Jrue Holiday with Giannis in there. It's just too big of a price tag. So really, it's just going to be Giannis for me. And then the Hawks situation fully depends on what Trae Young status is.
AP, talk about Trae Young status. Getting to Giannis today. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I mean, if Trae Young plays, I think we should hammer the over here because I just see this game going off. I mean, this backcourt from the Hawks, I mean, Murray and Trae Young, I mean, man, they are a nasty duo. And the one thing it does, if both guys are in, I think it does make a play like Giannis a little bit better. Giannis had the worst first half I've ever seen him have, in his career against this Hawks team earlier in the season. He had 13, 14
I think it
DK
was 13
points at
FanDuel points. Yeah.
Yeah, insane. And then he got what's he doing the second half title? A 52 piece. Absolutely nuked. Jrue Holiday also in that second half put up 36 DK points. So, I mean, man, we saw these two guys put up a monster number in one half of play. I mean, imagine if Giannis actually brought it, in that first half. I love Giannis here. I think his ownership is going to be capped too because of the 15-game slate, because of his price, because of all the other options we have. And kind of it creates this too many options. People overthink it. They get cute, find some value, jam in Giannis, take your 65, 70 piece and move on. And we're going to have that same discussion with Luka here coming up too. But I just think those two guys have the best floor and ceiling combination on the slate. And then, yeah, I mean, if Trae Young's questionable, right?
Yep.
Yeah, if he's out, then DeJounte Murray becomes such a better play. I mean, the phenomenal play. And it's crazy. Trae Young's been putting up in tournaments. If you want to get different, play Trae Young. He's shown massive upside, even playing right alongside DeJounte. This dude's taken a ton of shots every single game. So I would have no problem playing Trae Young here, no matter what happens. And he's going to be 1% owned because not many people are going. We're going to see ownership really, really condensed on the slate for sure. So that's a spot where I'm okay getting different. Just understand, if it busts, it busts. You're probably screwed. You know what I mean? But if these chalky plays that we talk about, if they bust and you have a different path by playing some of these studs in a game like this, you're going to be different. You're going to be sitting pretty.
Yeah, like SC just said in the chat, plant your flag and ride out a night like this. I mean, you are going to see some big boy scores. Ownership will mainly be spread out outside the Lakers, but if you like a Giannis today, I mean, how often do you get Giannis at 10% owned on a 15-game slate? If you like a Luka, Trae Young, DeJounte, I mean, we don't see 15 game slates very often. Ownership, if you want to play certain studs, you're going to see them at like people in Discord. I can guarantee you're going to be like, this guy, X guy is 2% owned question. Like that's just the nature of this slate. And I mean, I think it's smart to have a couple 2, 3, 10% owned or less guys in your lineup today. I think that's a good way to go about it. Just there's so many good options. Going to be a lot of flame emojis, and you have to be around your computer. Trae Young news. You cannot close your laptop on any NBA slate, especially today, though, after the first couple of games lock. As he's out, it changes the whole slate. We have a lot more injury news throughout the slate as well. So good breakdown there. We got Paul in chat, Jordan in chat. All right, let's see what the likes button. 472 watching, 143 likes. I'll say 300. Very easy number. Should definitely get to 300 today. So that'll be the number for the plays of the day. A lot easier than what Hoop says and at Tambo, but I'm being nice today, breaking down the slate. Do us a favor, like button, subscribe button. Let's get to the next game on the slate, though. The Portland Trailblazers, Miami Heat, 217.5 total. Miami is favored by 6. On the injury report, Dame is going to play, but Anthony Simons is questionable. Some more news right there. Go to the Miami side. We also have Tyler Hero questionable. A lot of news. This game is no different. Hoop, I'll throw it to you in this one. Talk about that injury news, what it does for you.
Really doesn't do much. This game's a fade for me. I think so far it's probably the worst game in terms of picking fantasy guys. You can make a case. We've been able to make a case along the way for guys that we have interest in just about every game here. I'm struggling, so I'll be this game will just be a cross off. I mean, you can't play all 15 games. You gotta take some and just whack them off. This is one that's gone for me.
Yeah, the last 2 games, Phoenix, Philly, Milwaukee, Atlanta, now this one have been my least favorite to start. But AP, let's just say Tyler Hero's out. Jimmy, Lowry, Bam. If Simons is out, can you get to Dame? I definitely like the Miami side more if Hero's out than Portland. But what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I mean, Miami went up to Portland, absolutely embarrassed them, and which is crazy because Miami's looked really bad to start the year. So Simons was doubtful to start the day. He was upgraded to questionable, and Dame was questionable, upgraded to play. I think the Blazers are going to come down to Miami and make a statement. So I think they get the W tonight. However, I have no interest playing anyone from this game. I think it's going to be kind of a brutal game, assuming everyone's in. Especially on the Blazers side, I would have no interest. And then, I mean, if Hero is, it just like Hero needs to be in, I think, for Miami to have a chance here. But even if he's out, you got Struss, you got Gabe Vincent, Duncan Rott, you got dudes that can fill in and do some stuff, but not anything too viable for fantasy purposes given their price tags.
I agree. Let's see if we have more in this game. The Toronto Raptors, the Chicago Bulls, 220.5 total. Chicago is favored by 2.5. Pascal Siakam is out for Toronto. Obviously, that is very important. Go to the Chicago side. Zach LaVine is questionable. Drummond is doubtful. Kobe White is out. I mean, Siakam out. LaVine questionable. AP, I'll go back to you in this one. Talk Scotty Barnes. I always love playing. OG, Van Vliet. Definitely think the Toronto side is more interesting than the Chicago side, but what if LaVine's out? Would that give you more interest? Talk about this one.
Yeah, so this is basically like a back-to-back doubleheader. These two teams just played. Obviously the significant injury news. Siakam not in there makes a pretty big impact. We already like the Toronto rotations, a team that we love targeting. Fred VanVleet went absolutely off. Like the only guy that I just am comfortable, like definitely not playing is Gary Trent. He seems like he's playing his role really well, which is kind of like playing defense, like a 3-and-D guy, but he's priced up to have a little bit more offensive usage that we just haven't seen. He's letting Scotty Barnes, OG, and Fred VanVleet do all the playmaking, which is, how this team should be. So, like OG 6'2", I think is a phenomenal play. He's going to play a ton of minutes here. Scotty Barnes definitely in play. Fred VanVleet again in play. Again, like the one thing like Fred VanVleet, 9 for 22 yesterday, 39 minutes, put up 56 DK points. I mean, 7-6, that price tag is going to keep people off, and he's going to chuck when he's out there again. So my only hesitation is sometimes the like second game played in these like teams where they just played each other, and then, you know, the very next day they're playing each other again. Sometimes they just come out and it's like flat or it's weird. And like, so with that in mind, I'm definitely going to have a lineup where I'm full fading this game and just like getting off some of these guys that should get some ownership on the Toronto side.
Yeah, I mean, Van Vliet comes back after missing 3 games, plays 39 minutes. That's what you got to love.
Smashed.
Yeah, I mean, that's Toronto for you. These guys just run out heavy minutes. You know who's going to play.
One question for you guys. Like the front court here, like I thought I had a good read. I thought Precious was going to get more run than he did yesterday, and I played him on that Sunday slate. He got no like run at all.
Because they ran Koloko out 31 minutes.
And he played well. He played really well. However, I'm not sold on chasing that spot either, because I can't tell you how many times. I mean, this dude ran really well. 6 blocks, 7 boards. I mean, man, you like, are we really going to expect another like performance like that from a block perspective? I mean, it's hard to do. So my approach, I'll then throw it to Hoop. Like on a 15 gamer, I'm not going to mess with Koloko, Boucher, Right.
Precious. Give me the Scotty, the Van Vliets. Give me the guys that I know their role. And I wouldn't be surprised if one of those guys go off, but especially seeing Koloko play 31 minutes, which I definitely did not expect to happen. I don't think we need to play the guessing game. Hoop, talk about that. Levine injury news, what you see in this one.
Yeah, in 150, if you're making 150 teams, I do like getting exposure to all those bigs.
Would you make a rule at max 1?
You don't definitely want to play them together. And this is the one spot that's been kind of unpredictable with the Raptors over the last couple seasons, like with the bigs. And if someone's hurt, one of the bigs, like who plays, and it just doesn't seem like there's any rhyme or reason to who gets the run and who's productive. So on like a main team, if you're doing one for like single entry or you're doing 3 entry max, like I would not mess with this situation. If you're making 150 though, I think you do want exposure to these guys, Koloko, Boucher, Precious, just because they have big time upside and they're cheap. So I would get them. In terms of safety, I mean, I love Van Vliet tonight. I mean, I think this is just like a perfect spot for Fred Van Vliet. He's cheap. You know, he's playing a ton of minutes. The back-to-back does not matter with Toronto. They just roll their guys out there. Coming off a 56 fantasy point game last night. I think he runs it back and has a big game here. This game is projected to stay close. Love Van Vliet. I want some Barnes. I want some OG. This is a team I'm looking to get heavy on tonight. So, you know, with that being said, I want some Chicago guys. That's where it gets a little more difficult, though, because they're not super appealing. It would get a lot easier if Levine is ruled out. Like if Levine's out, I'm going to get a lot of DeRozan. I want to get a lot of Vucevic. So that's one bit of injury news that's very important. It's 8:45 though Eastern. Probably don't have it, you know, when this slate locks. So I think this is one of the spots where you can have a pretty big advantage potentially on the field if you sit back and wait for this Levine news and then make those pivots to load up on DeRozan and Vucevic specifically. But I'm going to be heavy Toronto. Really like the Toronto spot. Love Van Vliet. And I want exposure to those bigs in 150.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I mean, if you're 150 in this slate, mega props to you. There is no way I could be able to do that. But if you are, I think Koloko, Precious, Boucher, I would not be surprised if one of them get there for sure without Siakam. But I definitely would make a rule at most 1 because they all eat into each other. I think that is a good point. Hoop.
One of them's likely to have a big game, honestly. I mean, one of them is likely to have a pretty big game. Again, you want to make sure you set that rule, though, where you're only playing one of them per lineup because, you know, one will have a big game. The other 2 probably bust. It's pretty clear.
Yeah. And that's why if I'm only making a couple, I do not want my night coming down to the front court.
Yeah. It'd be a pass for sure.
Yep. In line there. For people that watch this show a lot, usually we do a little more messing around, having more fun. We just have no time on this 15 gamer. We got so much going on. So trying to give you guys the most information as we can before the Up to Lock show. 500 watching, 183 likes, 300 is the number to get you the plays of the day. So we appreciate it if you hit the like button for us. Next game on the slate, 9 p.m. Eastern, Boston Celtics, Memphis Grizzlies, 231 total. Boston is favored by 3.5. Steven Adams is questionable in this game. AP, not really a game I like too much. It seems like the first couple I liked a lot. These last couple, I like Toronto side, but the last like 5, I haven't had as much interest in. What are your thoughts in this Boston-Memphis game?
Yeah, I mean, this is a spot where, like, I do think if you're multi-entering, you could look at Jason Tatum. This dude has been, I mean, man, he's having a phenomenal year already. He's shown really good upside relative to his price, and he's not going to be on tonight. So it's just one of those, and the Grizzlies play fast, man. So, like, the opportunity is going to be there for him to put up a 60 piece, which we would all take. And he's going to be like 2% owned, which is how the slate is going to be set up. So a guy that immediately gets you different. Do I think you need to go there? No. But if you're multi-entering, yeah, I think it's something to consider. Same with Ja Morant. Like, so if you're playing Tatum, you think that you think it's going to be competitive. You think it's going to be back and forth. I mean, Ja Morant, I mean, this dude he was 9 for 27 against the Wizards, and 27 shots, just shy of like his fantasy outing was not good at all, like for his price tag, 44 DK points, but the opportunity was there. So again, in tournaments, that's where I would look. Outside of that, I don't think we need to go there.
I have a little interest in Jaylen Brown. The 1,800 savings from Tatum's interesting. 8-4, under 5% owned play. I think, I mean, again, so many of these good plays are going to be less than 5%.
He's got the tougher matchup though. I mean, with Dylan Brooks, right?
I don't look at that stuff as much. I mean, the pick and roll, you get a switch.
But Tatum is, like, from a matchup standpoint, like, he is the guy that I think is like that the Grizzlies would struggle with. You know what I mean?
It's more so the 1,800, I think, with a similar upside, I will say. I mean, we've seen Jaylen Brown go off. I think it's just the price difference. I won't say no to Tatum at all. That 10-2 price tag's fine. He'll also be under 5% owned. Jaylen Brown or Tatum? Definitely only play one at most on a 15-game slate like this. Any of those two for you? Anything else in this game?
You got to kind of see what happens with Steven Adams, obviously being questionable. Santi Aldama would get a nice little boost. I think if Adams were to sit, this is, now we're getting deep into the night, 9 p.m. Eastern. Yeah. So if you want to wait around for this one, not as many options after, but, not as impactful as some of the other news that we're waiting on. But, I think a couple of these guys would get a boost, but overall, not a ton of interest on the Grizzlies side. I'll say Jaylen Brown, though, to answer your question, just for the reason shooting guard and small forward eligible. So he can fill more positions over on DraftKings. Not a huge deal, but I don't love either guy, to be honest. But like, if deciding between the two, I'll take the price discount and the guy that has more position eligibility. But this is a game I really don't want all that much of. And now Kyle Kuzma is listed as questionable, so the fun already began.
Screw the Wizards, man.
Yeah.
If the Wizards beat me today, they freaking beat me. So
I mean, if he's rolled out with Beal, I might have some Wizards in my lineup. I'll just say that. We'll get that news before lock. They'll be on the Up to Lock show talking about it. That's not the last piece.
I'd play Rui for sure. Remember when that dude was playing like 38 minutes a game?
I loved Rui. Rui,
he was a dependable like point per minute producer. So maybe I would get on board.
Just load up early. Fuck all the news. Enjoy your evening. Whatever happens. Like, man, it's gonna be a battle out there for sure. Hero out. So the news is starting to come in. There's gonna be a lot more of it on a 15-game slate. That doesn't change much for me though, the hero stuff.
Yeah, there's two perspectives on the slate. You got our boy Mangone, going to be at the computer all night, updating. And then you got us, pop a gummy, have a whiskey, do whatever, and just chill out and let the slate unfold.
No, I'll admit I'll be in the Mangone boat, and the gummy will be a lot later tonight, unfortunately. Except with all this Wizards, if everything breaks early, you do have the Lakers later, but I mean, there's just going to be if you're playing NBA tonight. Props to you. All of us are. You're going to have to be by your computer. You're going to have to be in Discord, Up to Lock show. You're going to have to be unless you just jam the early games. BigT 777. You can't be 777 today since only one game starts at a time, but jam the early games, know where you got, and move on from there. But it's a crazy slate. I'm very excited to see what winning lineups have later on. Like button, subscribe button, appreciated. Moving on to the next game, though. New York Knicks, Minnesota Timberwolves, 235.5 total. Minnesota is favored by 3. Both got teams missing someone in the front court. JSURab out for the Knicks. Rudy Gobert out for the Timberwolves. Hartenstein, we talked about him. last week, even when Mitch Rob was in, played 38 minutes last game with no Mitch Rob. I think that's a good price tag. With no Gobert in town, Towns gets a bump. Kyle Anderson slides into the starting role. He has a good price tag at 4-1. Hoop, I'll go to you in this one. I think I think we'll have a little more interest in this game than the past couple.
Yeah, just clear targets in this game. I mean, it's the plays are clear. I mean, on the Knicks side, it's Hartenstein, and you gotta love him. I mean, the 30, what did you say, 38 minutes last time out? He's productive when he plays like 20 minutes. So you have like a lot of wiggle room with a guy like Hartenstein. Great play on both sites, I'd say, tonight. And then on the Timberwolves side, without Gobert, Karl Anthony Towns is going to get a nice little boost. 50 fantasy point game last time out, only 30 minutes. I can't remember. Was that a blowout? Maybe. I mean, the fact that I only played 30, I'm guessing was a blowout, but he got to 50. He has the upside. You know, Kyle Anderson freaking sucks. I mean, it's painful to watch him, but he's going to play 30 minutes, which he did last time out. You got to consider him. 4-1 on DK, 3-6, I think, on FanDuel makes a lot of things work. So as much as I dislike Kyle Anderson as a real-life basketball player, probably have to consider him for fantasy purposes tonight. So I think you have three very clear type plays tonight. Cat's the one that I'm pretty interested in, though, because I just don't know how many people go to him. I mean, there's a lot of options on the slate, and I think Cat's going to would be a big target of mine in 150 tonight, and even some of the 3-max stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the rebounding rate just goes so hot, so up. That's not the right English, but you guys get what I'm saying. It increases a lot without Gobert. So I like that. And then slow-mo, he's on my good side, Hoop. I got him on that 35 piece on both sites, which isn't, I usually get slow-mo wrong for, I mean,
he owes us a few more of those. At least he owes me a few more of those.
No, he's done me probably more bad than good throughout his career. But recency bias, I do remember slow-mo. He's a good play, though. Sliding in the starting lineup, he's cheap on this slate. Will be more popular on FanDuel than DraftKings for sure, especially because of the Lakers situation on DK, but he'll get some ownership on both sides. AP, Knicks, Minnesota. What are you liking in this one?
Yeah, I mean, the Wolves rotation is one that man, it's kind of frustrating. It seems like they change things up depending on what the matchup is. Obviously against the Rockets last game, smaller team. We saw Prince in there. We saw Slow-Mo, do his thing. And Naz Reid was the guy that we all thought was going to get a bump, and that didn't happen. I think it had to do with the matchups. And so you wonder here against the Knicks, a little bit more size, Randall, Hartenstein. I wonder if maybe it is Naz Reid is the guy. So, like, again, if you're playing 1-3, not a guy you worry about at all. If you're playing 150, I would consider someone like him, because who knows what the Wolves are going to do with this rotation. So the other thing I noticed too is I had to actually bump down Kyle Anderson and Prince a little bit, because they were hitting like every single build I ran. Like
the projections have a massive erection for Kyle Anderson.
I'm like, what is going on here? Like, he had like a 20, like I think his projection was like 28 or 20. He was hitting like 100% on my builds. I was like, holy shit. I mean, so again, 15 game slate, guy, like, optimizers, projections drive ownership so much. And when you see these guys that are, projecting very highly, but they're quite volatile or have been volatile in the past, I would underproject them. And if they fall in, they fall in. But again, these are plays that can definitely tilt us. So Hartenstein is the one play in this game that I have a ton of interest in. Obviously, the one thing with Tibbs, usually we should feel good about those rotations. The one concern would be foul trouble for him. So hopefully that doesn't happen. But Obi Toppin, I think, man, he looked terrible. So I'm not too concerned about him. Hartenstein seems to be the guy there. And then Cam Reddish too. Did you guys talk about him?
I mean, I didn't mention him, but I do think he needs to be talked about a little. 37 minutes last game.
I almost have more interest from a value standpoint in Cam Reddish. Or like go into the optimizer projection and just bump Reddish slightly over, like 0.1 over whatever Kyle Anderson and whatever Prince is, because I think he has just as much upside, if not more, than those guys. And I think for some reason he's going a little bit overlooked relative to those guys.
Yeah, he played 37 minutes. I don't think he's going to be projected, or definitely not projected at 37 minutes. His usage wasn't too high. I think he'll get forgotten a little bit on this slate. If it was a 6-game slate, Cam Reddish could be the chalk at the end of the day. But because we have Lakers stuff, Kyle Anderson, I think he does get overlooked. But yeah, you sign me up for 37 minutes at 3.4K. Next game on the slate, Denver Nuggets, San Antonio Spurs, 234.5 total. Denver is favored by 7.5. Not much injury news in this one. It used to always be Jokic. You can always play him. I'm not getting to Jokic so far this year, and it's going to continue that way for me. He hasn't had a usage rate above like 30 this year, which, man, if you're paying 11.6 for him, I want to see a guy with a usage rate in the 30s personally. So it's just no Jokic for me. I mean, if you want to play him, it's Jokic, sure, I guess. Jamal Murray, Jakob Poeltl, Keldon Johnson. Hoop, I'll go to you. I know you always love yourself a little Jakob Poeltl. What else in this game though?
Yeah, I mean, Pirtle's always a guy I'm going to get some exposure to. Not as thrilled recently. I mean, the Spurs situation, just such a disaster. Keldon Johnson, I think, is a fine option. You know, I'd prefer to play him on teams where I'm playing the Nuggets. The one thing I will say about the Nuggets, I don't have a ton of interest on DK, but on FanDuel, Jokic is only 10.7, so they're starting to bring his price tag down a little bit. I like that 10.7 price tag on FanDuel. Jamal Murray, things like 5.9K. Little interest in him over there. So the Nuggets side is definitely going to be more FanDuel type plays for me than DraftKings. I agree on DK, where he's priced similar to the other studs. Like I'm out, but on FanDuel, I do have interest in Jokic and Murray to some extent, but this isn't a great game.
Yeah, no, good point there. He does have a better price tag on FanDuel for sure. And you only can play one center. Center's not the most loaded position on this slate, even with so many games. So I agree with that. AP, talk about this one.
Yeah, so I mean, this game was a blowout. These teams just played in Denver, blowout. Jokic put up almost a 50 piece in like 26, 27 minutes. So again, the only thing I'll say is he's going to be 1 or 2% owned, just because there's better studs with higher usage. I mean, it's a different team than what we saw last year. MPJ looks relatively healthy. Aaron Gordon has been like way more aggressive offensively. Jamal Murray's back. Then you got Bones, who's taking on a nice role off the bench. So it's a different team.
Bruce Brown's been playing good ball for him.
Dude, that's like such a good pickup, especially thinking down the road, just playoffs, you know, when they playing the Warriors. Like this team's built to match up with the Warriors and to be able to adjust to other teams in the conference. So you got to like how they're positioned. And it seems like, you know, they're able to save Jokic, which will be huge. So I'm with you guys. All I'll say is, again, if the Spurs somehow, I have no interest in the Spurs. Like I don't want to mess with them, but we've seen them keep games close. And if they keep it close, it brings plays into play from the Nuggets side. So again, in tournaments, if you don't mind just getting different and being fine with it and like settling with the results, that's how you could play a guy like Jokic if you wanted to. I'm not super high on him, but just because you need the game to stay close, you need him to, you need it to be competitive, and it's just hard to see that happening. If anything, like I could see taking a shot on Jamal Murray, but again, like now with the Lakers situation, I just almost like cross that off because I'm like, why not play Russ, which we'll talk about obviously here in a little bit. But so for me, cross off. I mean, the game Bones had, what a game. I'm tempted to chase that, but it would be such a fish play.
Not on a
like
15
this.
game.
Yeah, the dude went nuts.
24 minutes.
I bet he gets some ownership. I bet like if he didn't do that in the last, I bet he gets like 1%.
Well, yeah, I mean, maybe 1%. But yeah, I mean, 27. Yeah, that's what Bones can do. I mean, the dude can get hot. He's a flat out hooper for sure, but I wouldn't play him on a 15 game slate. Well, let's see what we got. We got 209 likes, 550 watching. 4 games left. 300's the number. Again, 4 games left. Massive 15 game slate. Someone in chat just said, Spencer Smith, looks like I'm taking off basketball. The next slate, it's this big. Well, there's 13 games on Wednesday, Spencer. So We'll see you in the YouTube chat on Thursday because, man, Wednesday is going to be very similar to this one, except lock times aren't every 15 minutes. But it's a crazy one, no doubt. Probably the craziest slate I'm ever going to – I mean, we've never had a slate like this. Probably this is the craziest slate we're all going to have to deal with the game locking at a different time each one. But let's get to the next one. 4 games left. 300's the number for the likes. Brooklyn Nets, Dallas Mavericks, 216.5 total. Dallas is favored by 6. Ben Simmons is going to play. It sounds like roughly 20 minutes, could even come off the bench. Kyrie's still not in the situation. I don't love this game for DFS. You can always play Luka. AP, you got anything else in this one?
Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, there's a build out there with Luka and Giannis. And I mean, some of the 3K guys are fringe, but a lot of it depends on the news. But if you have a good idea of what rotations could look like with some of those values, or if more value opens up with the Wizards, it's a path I really like just because of the floor ceiling combination I'm going to get by using Luka and Giannis. But yeah, Luka, just, man, good matchup for him. Already smashed in this one earlier. Dude's a triple double machine. And it's an opportunity where we're going to get him, I don't know, like at 12-5, no one's going to play him tonight, even if we get a ton of good value. And all we need from our value is like to give us like 24 to 26 points. And if they can do that, and if Luka and Giannis put up their 70 pieces, we're mint. And I see that being a decent path tonight. So I have a ton of interest in Luka. The nice thing about the Mavericks, we don't have to think about anyone else on this team. We just cross them off. And then we can almost do that with the Nets side too, entirely, because 11-1 for KD. I'd rather play some of these other studs. Like KD he can get there and smash. I'd rather just pay a little bit more for Luka, for Giannis than 11-1 for KD.
Yeah, this is my least favorite game on the slate, is how I'm seeing it. You can always play Luka. What do you got in this one?
Yeah, just two options here. I mean, it's Luka for sure. I'm not playing any other Mavericks. And then a little bit of interest in Claxton on the other side, 6'3". I think is a good price tag for him. It has definitely flashed some upside. So just those two for me.
Next game on the slate, 3 games left. We got the Sacramento Kings.
Hey, Tito, real quick. If you're one thing I want to say, if you're running tournaments, we didn't see this in the last matchup, but do you remember there's a couple games, I think it was last year, where Luka and Dwight, so they started Dwight Powell last game. He saw 26 minutes. I'm telling you, like, there was a couple times last year where Luka and Dwight Powell got that 2-man game going with pick and rolls to the rim.
Down. They
got that down. They could abuse Nick Claxton in the paint. So I'm saying I probably won't get to Dwight Powell because I hate playing him and he sucks unless you get the right matchup. But he's 3-2. All I'm saying is if that happens, it would be kind of interesting, just given his super cheap price tag.
I'd rather like bet his over in points or over in something like that. He's just so reliable.
Oh, I know. I'm just throwing an idea out there. Maybe someone will run with it and benefit, or he'll just suck. I mean, who knows?
Well, yeah, I mean, he'll be the only. If you play him, you'll be the only one playing him. So I guess you can never say no to 3.2. But yeah, Luka and Powell, the pick and roll they have is definitely nice. 3 games left on the slate. Sacramento Kings, Golden State Warriors, 234.5 total. Golden State is favored by 8. Golden State's very well rested. The last game was when they rested everybody. They played Poole and all their backups. As far as the Kings side, they're pretty healthy. Sabonis, Steph, Clay, any of those stand out to you, Hoop, that you have interest in today?
Oh, I think my favorite play, which it might be surprising to some people because I always shit on this guy, is probably Clay at 5.7K. Finally flashed a little bit of that upside, 34 minutes, 42 fantasy points. It looks like the minutes are somewhat unlimited now. If he gets hot, he can nuke a slate. Again, I don't think he's a great basketball player by any means, but 5.7K in this matchup, interested. And then on the other side, it would be Sabonis. Like Sabonis a little bit at 8.6K. Only center eligible, which sucks a little bit, but some 50 fantasy point games, last couple, 52, plays a lot of minutes. I like him probably the best on the King side. So just Sabonis and Clay for me in this one.
I like Chef Curry, 9.9K.
All right.
I mean, Kings match, they'll all be low. I don't expect this game to get too much ownership, but anytime you're saying Steph's below 10% at below 10K against the Kings in a pace-up spot, he's the one, especially they rested last game. Sign me up for I like Clay, too. I think that's a good call. AP, what do you like in this one?
Yeah, so I bet against the Warriors the entire road trip that they were on against all those shitty teams, and they lost all those games. And Kerr, in their last one against a healthy Pels team, pulls all the starters, gives them rest, and you got to be impressed with what Jordan Poole and these scrubs did. They hung the whole game with the Pels, almost stole a win. With that in mind, I think that's what, man, like Kerr does weird stuff all the time. I think that's what these starters needed. I think we see the Warriors come out and absolutely smoke them. I think it's going to be a blowout. I'm completely off this game. Nope. Like, if anything, like the guy I see getting there is like a Malik Monk just balling in a blowout script or something, because I think he's done that a couple times with the Kings this year. So I'm not going to play it. I'm just saying I could see that happening here. So I'm going to be off this game. And I'm sad to say it because I've been attacking bigs against the Warriors for some time, but this team defensively was really good last year, was really good against bigs. So I think eventually they're going to find something out. And I don't want to, again, 15 game slate. I don't want the Kings to be what tilts me tonight. So I'll happily be off of them.
Yeah, I like the Warriors side much more too. K Alex trying to hurry us up in chat, so I don't know how much time we got left. We have
two games left.
Yeah,
we're like ahead of schedule.
K Alex trying to hurry up, but the likes are hurtful. We need 70 more likes in a very few minutes. So last time I'll remind one more time, but we appreciate if you hit it. We have 2 games left, and the next one, everyone's been talking about it the whole show. The Los Angeles Lakers take on the Utah Jazz, 227.5 total. Utah is favored by 6.5. Jared Vanderbilt is questionable on the Utah side, but for the Lakers, LeBron, Pat Bev, Lonnie Walker, all out. They're going to be the chalk. I mean, Russell Westbrook, everyone's been talking about him so far. 6.5K, mega chalk. Kendrick Nunn, min price at 3K, mega chalk. Then they got other guys. AD at 9.1, a great price tag. They got Troy Brown Jr., 3.8K. Matt Ryan, no, not the dusty Matt Ryan that can't move in the NFL. Matt Ryan that can shoot the ball a little bit. He'll be low owned. Any interest there is a pivot. It's going to be chalky. What are you doing in this one?
Yeah, I mean, it's the best spot on the slate in terms of, injury news and guys benefiting from that with LeBron being out. I guess the one piece of caution, I guess I would say, is in the large field GPPs, you're going to want to try to limit, I think, how much exposure you get here. Now, on a 6-game slate, 3 guys from the same team, yeah, that could work. On a 15-game slate, we really haven't seen that all that often. So I just think you really want to maybe cap the number of guys you have here to, 2 to 3 for sure, depending on what sort of contest you're in. Westbrook's a great play. Nunn's a great play. Anthony Davis is a great play. I like Troy Brown Jr. as well at 3.8K. They're all really good plays. They're going to be the highest owned guys on the slate for sure. Tough to imagine, 2 of these guys not just being on the optimal lineup tonight. So they're all good plays. They're going to be popular. I'd be careful though in the large field GPPs. On the Jazz side, whenever we have these situations, I really like to get exposure to the opposing team. It's a little bit difficult tonight because I don't love too many of these Jazz guys. I mean, I think Markkanen's a fine play, but he's now all the way up to 7.5K. Olynyk, I don't really love all that much. So yeah, it's probably going to be Markkanen as my favorite Jazz, but not all that excited. Lakers guys, though, they're undeniably the best value plays on the slate.
Yeah, I mean, the Lakers have 9 bodies that I think can get in the game, and some of those, like Damian Jones, has hardly seen the floor this year. He's sat out more games than he's played. Wendy Gabriel, they don't love to run out too much. Juan Toscano Anderson. I mean, 9 bodies, and some of them have not seen the court too much this year. It's really hard not to like. That's NBA DFS for you. I mean, the names don't matter too much. If you don't have many bodies, you're going to run out all the minutes in the world at cheap price tags. It's hard to ignore AP. So how many is too many? What are your favorites? Any Utah for you?
Yeah. So again, it comes down to like what you're doing strategy wise on this slate. So I talked about my strategy where I'm using some of this punt value that will allow me to jam in Giannis and Luka, those studs. And, I'm fine with them. My other routes, I'm gonna, what I'm going to do is I'm going to like take a guy like Russ and I'm going to like run a script where he just like takes it and does everything basically with like the old Russ that we're used to seeing. And so I'm going to under project a lot of the other pieces on the Lakers side and probably get one more in there, between one of these Troy Brown or maybe even a bench guy, JT. We don't know the starting lineup yet. So a lot could change, but I'm going to focus and stack this game up. Like Lauri Markkanen, I mean, dude, this guy is going to be like, I've been wrong on this guy. Like I've been absolutely wrong. I'm willing to take my L. This dude can absolutely ball. It's going to be an absolute matchup nightmare for this Lakers team tonight. Like AD's not going to chase him around like the perimeter and stuff. So you're going to have Troy Brown, Kendrick Nunn, Austin Reeves chasing this dude. He's going to have so many looks. Same like with Jordan Clarkson, even like Colin Sexton. He's been getting starter type minutes, even though he's coming off the bench. He's been very productive too. So like, I'm going to focus and have like where I'm playing Russ plus one piece and then run it back with like a Clarkson and Markkanen and get unique that way. And that's how like my mid-tier build is going to look. I'm going to take other pieces that we talked about. Maybe it is a Porzingis or someone else in that earlier game, or maybe it's a Fred VanVleet or OG. From the Toronto side, and that's how I'll approach it from a mid-range or a balanced build standpoint. But this game's going to be good to target punt values. I mean, so many things that you can do. Don't forget about the Jazz side, because that's how you're going to get leverage with guys like Lauri, because no one's going to want to pay 7.5 for him, including myself, except for tonight. I'll hop on board. I'll hop on the K Fallick train with his boy Lauri Markkanen. So just seems like such a good spot for him.
I mean, I like Lauri, and it can only get better if Vanderbilt's ruled out. Questionable tag. He gets ruled out. We won't have that news before lock. People aren't going to be swapping on any Jazz. So I think there's only more upside in that as well. Good with Clarkson's price tag. Good with Colin Sexton's price tag. Lakers just don't play D. I mean, I think you could stack up the Utah side as well if you're running multiple Lakers. We got one game left. 300 is the number we need. I will check back after we're done breaking it down. If we're there, awesome. We'll get you the plays of the day. If not, we're going to head out, get to the Up to Lock show. K Fallick and then breathe. K Fallick, you'll be on in plenty of time. There's no worries. Last game of the slate, though. What do we got? The Cleveland Cavaliers, Los Angeles Clippers, 213.5 total. Cleveland is favored by 4.5. Of course, injury news. Luke Kennard questionable. Reggie Jackson questionable. If you have a lot of Lakers in your lineup or Jazz in your lineup as well, you're going to get this news before. You can maybe make a couple swaps if they are ruled out, but I wouldn't be staying up till 10:30 Eastern just for those two news. Garland, 6.9K. I think that's a good price tag. Talking about value, Terrence Mann, 3.3. Again, the spot can only get better as well. I think he's an interesting pivot off the Nuns and the stuff of the world. The spot only gets better, and I think he's fine at 3.3. If they are ruled in, or you can just go to none because this game is 15 minutes after that game. I think this is an interesting one with the late swap, and no one's going to want to do it hoop. You might be in bed. I'm not sure about that, so I'm not sure how much you'll have, but what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, it could be in the sheets for sure at that point. 10:30 Eastern? Actually, you know what? Don't have to get up as early tomorrow. The kids don't have school for election day, so maybe I'll be up. But yeah, for this game, just to keep K Fallick happy, I'm going to basically agree with you. Garland, like the price tag there. Terrence Mann, I think, is a fine play. And then potentially a little bit of Paul George, who's been playing pretty well lately. So just 3 plays for me in this game. K Fallick, I hope you're happy with that breakdown.
AP.
Yeah, I think Paul George makes for a really good tournament play. 9-3. They lost to the Jazz yesterday, I believe. Just insane. Again, another spot where we don't have a lot of the news yet. But the Cavs are healthy and the Clippers aren't, and we don't know what the starters are. We don't know if Reggie Jackson isn't playing, then yeah, Terrence Mann is like the best value on the slate. So I think you want to keep a spot open for that guy, for sure. So a lot of it comes down to waiting for the news. Not a spot I like from the Cavs side, just all healthy. And, but the Clippers, while this matchup's going to be tough, yeah, 3-3 for a guy like Terrence Mann. If Reggie's out, yeah, sign me up.
Sky and Chad, why does that always have a big gulp size cuss? Because I chug a lot of water, man. I'm always pounding water. Water is healthy for you. Yeah, the AP, he got his big water over there. I think it was the first time he sipped it. Maybe it's not even water at the end of the day. You never know.
It's water.
It's water right now, but
it's water right now. It's for sure.
Looking at the likes, 271. I mean, man, no other words to describe that. 15 game slate, a lot of information, a lot of games. Up to Lock show going to be very important. Give K Fallick a hard time. Tell him he's got to get off right at 4 or 4 all that. Just give him a little hard time for him giving us a hard time. But stay by your computer all night long. News is going to keep hitting. We already got the hero news trickling in. It's going to be a fun one. Actually, I'll ask you quick. We have a little time before the last one. Just a final slate breakdown. AP, are you waiting for the last games? Are you loading up the boat early? Stars and scrubs. Any last piece of news you want to give the people before we get out of here?
Yeah, just last advice, just like make the slate simpler than like, don't make it a 15-game slate. Cross out, like if there's fringe spot, cross it off. Focus on the more elite spots. That's how you should tackle it.
Yeah, I'll just say you have a stand play guy. 1%, 2%, you like them. 15-game slate, there'll be a lot of good plays that low. Hoop, any last piece of advice for people?
Yeah, I mean, ownership should be pretty spread out outside of that Lakers situation. So, I mean, I wouldn't be really factoring in ownership all that much. Just be careful with that Lakers spot, though, in terms of how much on each team, how much exposure you get. I'd put some caps in place for sure. If you're doing 150, if you are doing 150, kudos to you, because I'm not going that route tonight. No chance.
No chance. You couldn't pay me to be doing that, but fun show. We were off tomorrow. No NBA. Make sure you get in the college basketball streets, the NHL streets. Nate Defy's in there. Matty Ice, big slate there. Then we'll be back Wednesday for another Monster 13 gamer. Fun show. Hit the like on your way out, please. We appreciate it. That's going to do it, though. For AP, who Simon Behind the Sticks, I'm Titletown. Good luck, everybody.